dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
And you're back on Liberty Nation Radio. I continue, as always, to be Mark Angelides, and Tim Donner, Liberty Nation's senior political analyst and longtime host of this here show, continues to be Tim Donner, as always, as we continue.
Good to know.
It is good to know. We haven't had any changes here. We don't need any recognition certificates of changes to our particular statuses. Or state-I, is that perhaps? I'm not sure.
To make a word.
To make a word. A fourth declination Latin noun. We go with the statopodes. That's a Latin joke for those who appreciate it. Now, Tim, one of the most fascinating social media things happening at the moment is Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, trying to claim the Trumpian airspace by himself claiming the moniker of America's governor, which is interesting to me, but by replicating, now, mocking Donald Trump's style with his governor's press office account, by mocking Donald Trump's style, and then assigning all this thought process to Trump supporters, and then saying, I can't believe MAGA supporters believe this because... And it's all just invented in their minds. They think that people think that Gavin Newsom is mimicking. Gavin Newsom's people think that MAGA people think that Gavin Newsom is mimicking Donald Trump, when in fact the MAGA people realize that he's mocking Donald Trump, but they think it's the other way around. And it's this weird convoluted, we know what you're thinking because it's what we want to think that you're thinking. And it shows an absolute lack of clarity, mental thought process. And if I may just pop the icing on this particular introduction, the idea that Gavin Newsom is America's governor is, for me, it's always been, if you want the label of America's governor, other states want to be you. Other states want to be just like you. And nobody wants to be like California, not even New York, because as I pointed out earlier to you, and I'm sure you agree with this, New York is theater people, California's movie people. They don't respect each other in the same way. So not even New York wants to be California. There's a great economy there, but a lot of that is due to the sheer population size. Tim, what's your take on this, on America's wannabe governor?
Well, one of the beauties of being a politician is that you can simply declare something to be true, and therefore it is. Yeah. So you can simply declare yourself to be America's governor. And I mean, there's no law against that. No, it's like at the Democratic convention after the Biden meltdown and Kamala Harris became the nominee, they simply declared that joy is back. There's no evidence of it.
Yeah.
They have nothing to back it up, but they can simply declare joy is back in the Democratic Party. Of course, it turned out to be completely untrue, which we knew at the time. But, Gavin Newsom figures, at least stylistically, if he can't beat Trump, he can join him by trying to be sort of Donald Trump in the mirror. He wants to take that same style. The all caps posts on X is the most obvious ripoff of the Trump style. But I kind of thought, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, I kind of thought that people on the left hated Trump's style. So then why would Governor Hairgel out in California want to emulate it? It's kind of a conundrum. I think the answer is that he's got nothing else. He has to change the subject. He has to look like a national figure and make people forget about his outrageously poor governance in California, where for the first time in its history, people are leaving California rather than heading to California. That says it all. People vote with their feet.
Yeah.
And there's a mass exodus away from California rather than towards it, which is the way it was for pretty much all of our lifetimes.
So you've got to wonder who this all caps thing is for. So sure, they're doing it to mock Donald Trump, to kind of hold a mirror up to look at how crazy he is when he does these all caps midnight tweets.
Rants.
The rants. Which personally, I got to tell you, I love reading them. You know, whether I agree with them, disagree with them, think he's losing his mind or think he's crazy like a fox.
It is.
I love reading them.
Nothing if not hugely entertaining.
Oh, it is bread and circuses, and I love it. But Oscar Wilde said, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness. And I don't think the governor and his team are well-read people. Otherwise, they must surely realize that they think that they're mocking Donald Trump and his supporters specifically, which, let's be fair, for somebody who wants a national platform, you don't mock the supporters of the chief guy on the opponent's team. It's like when and I give this to Donald Trump when he talks about what he calls like crazy Democrats. He's pretty much always referring to elected leaders, elected politicians. And he's never talking about the people. I mean, I'm sure there's some occasions when he has, right? Don't fact check me on that. I'm sure there are some occasions when he had. But in general, he's talking about the individual politicians, the elected politicians, who are fair game, right? They're fair game. If they can't handle it, they shouldn't be in politics. But Gavin Newsom seems to be mocking the people who support Trump. And that's bad politics. That's just bad politics. And it's, well, let's be fair. It shows a bit of a lack of class, doesn't it, Tim?
Well, I think the problem with Gavin Newsom, like it is with everybody else on the progressive left, is they live in such an elite bubble, especially in California, that Gavin Newsom doesn't seem to realize that the rest of the country looks at California askance, and they say, God forbid our state become like theirs, where there's sanctuary status essentially across the whole state, where the homeless population continues to spiral out of control in the once great city of San Francisco, where the cost of living is so high that they've essentially driven the middle class out of California. Crime exists at levels that are unacceptable to the rest of the country. I think Gavin Newsom doesn't realize, because he is so stuck in his California elite bubble, that the rest of the country is looking at this and saying, there's not a chance that we're going to elect a guy who's done this to the beautiful state of California, to do it to the entire country. But he's living in blissful ignorance because all he cares about is the 2028 campaign and putting himself on top. And in that sense, he's smart because he's getting a lot of juice for what he's doing. You know, he and Zoran Mamdani, the Democratic candidate for mayor of New York, are the major domos in the Democratic Party right now. And if the Democrats think that Gavin Newsom and Zoran Mamdani and what those two represent are the answer to what ails them, they could be headed for really a worse blowout in 2028 and may not even be able to follow history and do the easiest thing that history shows, which is to take over Congress 2 years after a president of the other party takes office.
Yeah, it kind of in some ways it kind of exasperates me. I'm from the UK. I don't necessarily have a skin in the game about how the elections go. But as somebody who is fascinated by politics and appreciates what America is, it troubles me that you've got a Republican Party that's so dominant in every area at present, and it doesn't really have any any pushback other than, as we talked about earlier, let's just oppose what Donald Trump's doing. There's no ideas coming out.
None.
America is a nation that has thrived on beautiful, big ideas. That's why it's achieved so much in its relatively, short history as a nation. 250 years coming up, 239, I guess, depending on when you count it from.
And by the way, we've forgiven your country. We're
not asking.
We've forgiven the UK for their tyranny.
You may have. But I've hung out in bars in New Orleans. I know not everybody has. So you've got this situation where America has thrived on ideas, and those ideas are tested, and they're tested by having two strong parties, and even to some degree, even third parties. It's not as though, third party candidates haven't pushed ideas forward and gotten them into the mainstream. Like, for example, Maha with RFK Jr. That is front and center in American politics now, and that came from a third party run or an outside candidate run. And so you have to make the ideas battle tested, to make the ideas stronger than they could be. The seed of an idea to become something strong that can be used for the betterment of the country. It needs pressure to become a diamond, as it were. And I'm just not seeing that at the moment. You've got, as you say, you've got Zohan Mamdani saying, let's try communism for all intents and purposes, which has been tried before. Spoiler alert, it's been done before. And you've got Gavin Newsom on the other coast. And what's he doing? He's slapping himself on the back saying, aren't I clever, mocking half of the country by having my team type in all caps and calling myself America's governor. This is not.
Did he not pay attention to what happened when Hillary Clinton wrote off half the country as a basket of deplorables?
I know.
Deplorables and irredeemables. Did he not see that? I mean, look, it's never good in a democracy to have a de facto one-party state. But right now, we're as close to that as any time since probably during the Reagan era in the 1980s, when the Democrats were disheveled, where they got their clocks cleaned in consecutive landslides at the hands of Ronald Reagan. But right now, the Democratic platform is the same as it was in 24. They're still pro-crime, pro-illegal immigrant. They're pro-DEI.
And as they reaffirmed at the summer DNC meeting this last week, they reaffirmed
they did.
The DEI.
They're still, look, they're still starting.
It's so 2020.
They're starting their meetings with land acknowledgments, basically saying this land was once owned by the Apaches. Like, that's the kind of thing that actually appeals to the average American. They can't. The problem is, and I hate to keep repeating this, but I think this says it all, is that people have said, well, the Democrats need to throw the progressives under the bus. But the problem is that the progressives are the bus. They're driving the bus. They're steering the bus. And right now, all the juice in the Democratic Party is behind the likes of Zoran Mamdani, who is essentially an undiluted communist. If you look, I did a piece on the Democratic Socialists of America and what they believe, including the dissolution of the family unit. And this is the party that Mamdani has been a proud member of for the last 8 years.
Not has been, is.
Still is.
He's still on their front page,
yes.
right?
Yes.
It's on their front page.
You're right, on their front page, with the beaming alongside Rashida Tlaib, of Squad fame.
It's I worry for any country that falls under a one-party rule, and we've seen
You've got to have a healthy two-party system.
Yeah.
And so even the people, because ideas need to be tested, they need to be debated, they need to be pushed back against, coherent arguments need to be made. on the other side. And right now, the only arguments being made on the left are Trump's in favor of it, so I'm opposed to it. End of discussion.
Tim, we're going to be back with you after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.